So as Canada continues to work toward a trade deal with the U.S., another country is feeling the impacts of the U.S. president's ongoing trade war, and that is India, where a staggering 50% tariff is now in effect. Donald Trump says the move is to punish the country for buying Russian oil, but there are fears that it could upend a decades-long push by Washington to forge closer ties with New Delhi. Rebecca Bundan is with me now live, and she has the very latest. These tariffs now in effect, how will they affect, Rebecca, the tariffs on these Indian exports? How will that affect the U.S. marketplace and Indian business interests?
Yes, and this move by President Donald Trump is certainly a big blow to ties between India and the US, which have been growing closer in recent years. And we've seen Prime Minister Narendra Modi here and President Trump seeming to have a good relationship. So in some ways, this is a bit of a surprise that things have deteriorated so quickly. But that is a massive blow. 50% now, the additional tariffs on India in total. And this will have a major impact with a number of sectors that are going to be particularly hard hit, with President Trump saying that this move was made because of India's continued imports of Russian oil, which Trump says is helping to fuel Russia's war in Ukraine. Now, the impact on the economy, analysts are saying that could be up to 1% in India. They say that India can absorb this overall, but it's those certain sectors that might be impacted very badly, and particularly small and medium-sized businesses will find this much harder with potential job losses. That sectors including gems and jewelry, auto components, textiles, for example, they'll be hard hit. And business owners I've spoken to have been saying that they're worried that what will happen now is US buyers will turn to other countries that are now more competitive in terms of their prices, simply because their import duties for the US are lower than India's. That 50% is among the highest in the world, with that 25% being added on and coming into effect today. So that's going to make it very, very difficult for businesses, particularly those that really, really do depend on the US almost exclusively in the cases of some, say, small companies, which will then have to cut jobs and will be struggling. And they're calling for the Indian government to step in and offer some kind of financial assistance. There have been comments from trade experts as well, who are pointing out that this seems to be quite an unfair move, because other countries, including China, which the US doesn't have a great relationship with, they're facing lower tariffs. And India, which seems to have been a friend to the US over the years, is facing these exceptionally high tariffs. Let's have a listen to comments from the Global Trade Initiative on this.
So America and its allies, they are totally engaged with Russia. China is a bigger buyer. Still, they are targeting India. That's totally unfair. And I think Trump administration knows this. Everybody's asking them, and they don't have viable answers to justify their deeds. So I hope they may look at the absurdity of this 25% tariff and withdraw it soon.
So there are still some hopes among people in India and businesses that there might still be some kind of resolution to this issue. But the question is now, when will the US and India sit down again to resume any kind of trade talks to try to resolve this?
We heard from your trade expert there, Rebecca. He used the word unfair. Has there been anything officially from the Modi government, or how are other officials within the country reacting to the American moves?
Yes, well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked about India's resilience earlier this week in his speeches, talking about how India will continue to build its economy, how other countries are working in their self-interest, which was kind of a dig at the US tariffs move. There were also comments from India's ambassador to Russia earlier this week, who talked about how India will continue to import oil from wherever it gets the cheapest rates. So India seems to be being quite defiant. Members of the public have also been saying, will India can work on its domestic economy. India can turn to other countries as well, potentially for business. So they're hoping that India can get through this, whatever happens.
Rebecca, thank you. Rebecca Bundan is in Mumbai this morning with that live report. Now, this was, without doubt,